Hey, this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with Platinum against Raw versus Raw. This is from July 12th, 2021. This is the go-home show for Money in the Bank. A lot of emotional resonance was attempted. They're trying to attach value to matches. I think by and large they succeeded through the really Herculean efforts of a few performers. So I want to definitely get into that because it shows how even with inferior writing and booking, how really just being as earnest as you can be and doing your level best performance-wise can really make up for a lot. We open with Bobby Lashley against Xavier Woods, which is kind of typical of really odd booking by the WWE. At the end of the day, Woods counters an attempt and rolls Lashley up for a pin for a win out of nowhere. It's very strange. Kofi checks on Woods at ringside. Woods and Kingston taunt MVP. And they did this at the beginning of the show so we could have a transformation for Bobby Lashley by the end of it. So I get what they're trying to do. It's just such a strange way to get there. Eva Marie and Doudrop are going to be on Alexa's playground. We go to commercial. We see what just happened between Xavier Woods and Bobby Lashley. Kevin Patrick stops MVP backstage. Lashley was seen leaving the arena. MVP guarantees Lashley will be in the VIP lounge tonight, and he's going to be just fine. Okay. We see how Drew McIntyre defeated Jinder Mahal by DQ last week after interference by Veer and Shanky. Then they stole Drew's sword. We see Jinder arriving in the arena on his custom motorcycle. And Veer and Shanky give Jinder the sword. Alexa Bliss is backstage on Alexa's playground. Talks about how exciting Raw is and looks to possibly win the Money in the Bank briefcase. Eva wants to be introduced. Bliss goes on how she likes Doudrop's name. Bliss calls Eva a bonus guest. Eva makes fun of the playground. Doudrop waves at Bliss and walks off, and Eva and Bliss mocks Eva. Terrible. It's just awful. Here comes Jinder Mahal, Veer, and Shanky. We go to commercial. We see how Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair won awards. Won the ESPY award for the best WWE moment. Super cool, of course. Jinder wants to shake Drew's hand and apologize and give the sword back. Drew appears on the big screen. And then he shows the sword and it's been broken, and Jinder apologizes, so something must have happened. So Drew says you can't expect to show up to Raw with something and not have your stuff destroyed, so he pulls the real sword out, and he says the sword in the ring is a replica. He has Jinder's motorcycle with him, and then he destroys the bike. So no consequences, really, which is the show. Right. Nikki Ash is backstage. Riddle gives her props for the superhero gear. They do some comedy. And Nikki runs away for her match, saying it's time to fly. Nikki versus Asuka versus Naomi versus Alexa Bliss. This thing is, it's a bit of a mess. But, Asuka tries to go for the Asuka lock. Nikki fights it off and then turns that into a pin for the win. Sorry, Asuka. But Nikki wins, and so it goes. We see how Riddle pinned AJ Styles last week, who's now the new Jeff Hardy, where he's just going to get beat by everybody. We got AJ Styles against Ivar. Ivar wins with a seated splash. Then we have Omos against Eric. Omos destroys Eric and beats him with the two-handed choke slam bomb. and we're going to have a title match between the two teams for Money in the Bank instead of Raw. Okay. We see all this stuff that's happened between Carrillo and Sheamus. We see we're back from the break, and we see Xavier Woods defeating Bobby Lashley again. And then New Day greets Lucha House Party. They're working on a SummerSlam party. They mock Lashley, and Kofi goes on about how he's going to shock the world once again at Money in the Bank and leave with the title. New Day walks off in a good mood. We see a package history, which is really cool, about the Money in the Bank ladder match. That was a great thing. They should do more things like that, honestly. We see Sheamus attacking Carrillo. They try to break it up. Priest shows up, and they exchange looks. Then we have Carrillo against Sheamus. Sheamus ends up winning easily, and then when he goes to beat him down some more, Priest comes in again, and then they stare at each other. We see the recent matches between Ricochet and John Morrison, which is a case of something that they're doing right, and it's really, really interesting. Then they show us a bunch of dripstick stuff, which is dumb. Falls Count Anywhere match, Ricochet against John Morrison. They really tear it up. This is your good wrestling match of the show. And Ricochet wins after jumping on top of Morrison on a ladder. So Ricochet recovers, music hits, and Riddle looks on and applauds from the stage, and Ricochet looks up at the Money in the Bank briefcases and celebrates his win. Good for him. It looked really good. I have nothing negative to say about this whole thing. Morrison really put out for this as well. Schreiber is interviewing Natalya and Tamina Snuka, who are the Raw Tag Champions, Women's Tag Champions, backstage. They confront Dana and Mandy. Shenanigans. They go over the Money in the Bank card. They do talk to Drew McIntyre, who says, Money in the Bank might be my last chance to reach the top of the mountain, I'm sure. We see what happened with Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley brawling with crutches. That was so bad, by the way. Now we get Rhea Ripley against Natalya. Rhea Ripley manages to win, and then Charlotte Flair attacks, puts the figure 4 on, and this thing hanging off of the apron. It looks very good. Back from the break, we see what happened with Charlotte Flair and Ripley. At least there's a kind of a flow and a continuity to the show, even though they repeat stuff a lot, because it's Raw and they have time to fill. That's what the show always feels like. Lashley cuts a really good promo about Kofi Kingston and how Lashley decides he needs to go back to being the ass-kicking Bobby Lashley, and that's what he's going to get. He says the circus is dead, and after Sunday, so is Kofi's career. And that's it. All right.